What is good, YouTube? We are back with another episode of the Trading Den V2. I have two, maybe three more left of this. If you guys are not in the free Discord, go join it. It is the first link down below. This is going to be the entry models, right? Turtle Soups is the main entry model, but before we even get to Turtle Soups, right, I don't want you guys to start with Turtle Souping entries. You have to start with understanding where the market wants to go and then entering with one of these entry models, and then when you get better with spotting where the market wants to go, then you can end up taking Turtle Soups, right? So these are going to be the four entry models in the Turtle Soup guide, right? So the first entry model, that is the easiest entry model, is the unicorn, right? If you guys don't know any of these like setups or anything, go watch my videos. I have a video on breakers, fair value gaps. I have an entry model with the unicorn setup. Go watch those videos if you guys are confused about any of this, right? The first and the easiest is going to be the unicorn, right? This is going to happen last. This is the last entry you can get before the expansion, right? So the unicorn is the very last chance that you will get before we go to the draw on liquidity, right? The one before the unicorn is just going to be your regular fair value gap, right? So we have a unicorn or a fair value gap, right? Sometimes you won't get the breaker, right? Then you have to just enter off a fair value gap. But fair value gap will come before the unicorn if we end up getting one, right? So the next one is going to be your order block, right? Order block is going to come before the fair value gap. If we don't get a tap of the order block, then you're going to have to enter on the fair value gap. And then the hardest but the earliest entry is going to be your Turtle Soup, right? So it goes unicorn, fair value gap, order block, Turtle Soup. Now, if you want the entry beforehand, it's going to go Turtle Soup, order block, fair value gap, unicorn, right? So let's hop right in and take a look at a unicorn setup, right? So I'm not going to go over putting it all together. That will be the next episode, putting it all together so you can identify your bias and everything. You can understand where the market wants to go using the power of three and everything. But this one is just going to be spotting for the entry model, right? So go watch the unicorn entry model if you have no idea what it even is. So this example is going to be, actually I took this trade before, right? So I took this trade. We had buy side resting up here, and I was bullish for the day. Came down, took out Tuesday's lows, and now we want to spot for longs because I had a long bias, right? And I wanted to see longs. Now, I entered on the Turtle Soup, right? But this is the unicorn entry model, right? So, right here, we have this expansion higher, right? Now, some people would call this your breaker, right? This would be your breaker. You could classify this as your breaker, and then you have this fair value gap right here, which would be your unicorn setup, right? But I don't classify that as the breaker. Why? Because there isn't any significant market structure shift or anything, right? Now, whenever we get up to this high, right, this is the last high probability swing high, right? This is a swing high, this is a swing high, but it's not really significant, right? Because we're just slowly coming down. Now you could say this would be your breaker, but this right here would be the ideal breaker, right? These two up close candles, these two right here. Yes, you can say this is your breaker, but I would classify these two as the high probability breaker, right? So right here becomes what? This is your unicorn setup right here, right? Notice how it came last, right? Right here's your Turtle Soup entry. Right here's your order block. Right here is your fair value gap. And then up here is your high probability unicorn setup, right? So if you want to enter, right? If you want to enter right here, stop loss right here or beneath the breaker, you can do that as well. However you guys want to risk, and then target the buy side, right? This was actually one of my biggest trades. I got in down here, rode it up to this buy side, right? But right here is your high probability unicorn setup right there. right? And as you guys see, turtle soup entry, order block entry, fair value gap entry, then comes your unicorn setup, high probability, right? As long as you know the draw and liquidity, right? So the next example is going to be your order block entry, right? The second one, right? So do we tap into a, yeah. Okay, so we come down, tap into this, what? 1 hour fair value gap, right? 1 hour fair value gap. And this is another trade that I took, right? So here comes your turtle soup, right? Here's your turtle soup. Now, what comes after, right? We were bullish on this day. If you want to go look at it and understand why, it is September 12th, so go check it out, understand why I was long biased, right? Where does the order block come in? I guess I already marked it out, so it doesn't matter. Right here's your high probability order block. Why this one? Oh, I guess I'm doing order block before fair value gap. It's whatever. Next one we'll do fair value gap, right? So right here's your high probability order block. Why? This is the candle that took liquidity and injected into a higher time frame key level, right? This down close candle. Once we close above it, this is going to be your higher time frame order block, right? So what do we wait for on the lower time frames? 15-minute SMT, right? I'm gonna have to find this right here, right here's your 15-minute SMT. Okay, 15-minute SMT right here. This was my entry right here. 15-minute SMT right here becomes your higher, or your high probability order block, right? This low should become protected, should be a protected low. Why? Because we have an SMT on it. Now, when do I use the series of down close candles versus when do I use the first candle as the order block? Whenever we have an SMT, I will use the, let's get rid of that line. I will use the first candle. Once we close above the body, that is whenever I will use the first candle. Now let's say this SMT was non-existent. I would then use the series of down close candles. But in this case, since we had an SMT inside of what? Higher time frame key level, that 15-minute order block, I would use this candle, right? As soon as we close above this body, becomes a higher or it becomes your high probability order block, right? Some people don't use it like that. It's what works for me, right? So finding things that work for you. So right here we have an SMT. I will use this down close candle. As soon as we close above the body, I will then say, okay, this is a high probability order block, right? And most of the time you'll see that we actually just get nice bullish up close candles above the entire candle. So yeah, but right here, as you see, we come down. I wonder if we hold mean threshold of it. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Look at the bodies. Perfect respect of mean threshold of this 1 minute order block. Continue back to high of day, right? So right there becomes your second way to enter, right? I accidentally skipped over the fair value gap, but it is what it is, right? So right there, high probability order block comes into play. That's the order block method, right? And I'm not going to go over too many examples. Now, I can get rid of these two charts because I don't even use them. But I'm not going to go over a ton of examples. I'm not going to sit here and spoon feed you guys a ton of examples. I'm giving you guys the entry models and you have to go back test them for yourself. Now, this example is your fair value gap, right? This you can use on any time frame. Fair value gap is one of the best ways to enter. I would choose a fair value gap. I don't know if I would anymore, but whenever I first started, I would choose a fair value gap over an order block, right? But now it may have changed. So yeah. Anyways, this example, what's our higher time frame key level, right? This one, we don't really come into one, right? So look, don't even take previous day high. There's no higher time frame key level. So what do? This is whenever you take a look, you step back, you say, okay, what is intraday order flow doing, right? What is intraday order flow doing? If this is do we have equal lows? Okay, so we have equal lows here. If this is a true turtle soup, right? Displacement, unicorn entry model, this should be continuation, right? We should respect these fair value gaps, right? Because all throughout here we have a bunch of fair value gaps. We should respect these and continue to this high. If we don't, right? If we don't, and we continue to displace lower, the draw is lower. This high is not gonna get taken, right? So if these get rejected, if they go through them, we will flip order flow and continue down to lows, right? So if this fails and these fail, we are going to continue lower. So let's head down to the 5. I wonder if we have midnight open. Yeah, so we do. Okay, so this would be what? Your manipulation leg on the higher time frame, right? Because this is what manipulated above midnight open. This is kind of like an accumulation to manipulation. The only problem is we didn't manipulate into a higher time frame key level. Now, the next thing you can do is say to yourself, okay, well, we have a candle's range right here, right? We took the high and disrespected this fair value gap. If we took the high, came in here, and then continued, that's whenever you'd say, okay, we're going to continue. But look, we took the high of this candle, closed below this candle, and then closed below this fair value gap. Ding, ding, ding. 930 should distribute us lower. So, right here, right here, this becomes your turtle soup, right? This becomes your turtle soup. This should not go above this high. If it does, we're going to continue higher. Oops, we're going to continue higher, not lower. We're going to go higher. So where is our entry? 930 right here. Judas swing into a fair value gap. This is your entry, right? Right here becomes your entry. Now, fair value gap, higher time frame key level, 5-minute fair value gap. Now what? High probability order block. Right? If you don't want to enter on the fair value gap, high probability order block. Dug into a fair value gap on the higher time frame, closed below the body, tap into the order block. Absolute, oh my god, absolute dump, right? This becomes what? Turtle soup, low resistance liquidity, displace through the low, fair value gap on the higher time frame, short it, missed it. 930 creates an order block. 932 taps it. Absolute dumper. So this can be used on any time frame, the fair value gap, right? Just understand the draw, understand where we want to go. That comes after the order block, right? What becomes your order block, right? Here's your turtle soup. Here's your high probability order block, right? This becomes your high probability order block. Displace lower, fair value gap, right? Boom. And to be honest, this does become a breaker right here, right? But I just see it as an order block. So technically, after the order block comes your fair value gap and a breaker kind of, but I don't like doing that. I'd rather it just be like this. I don't like if there's a swing low up here and then like I don't like that. So I just see this as an order block. Turtle soup, order block, fair value gap. Boom. Right? Oh, no. I need my indicators. Okay. Now, let's switch this back to YM. Boom. Daily chart. Now the last one is going to be your turtle soup. Bitcoin. Right? Now the last one is your turtle soup. Okay, that's today. Oh, yeah, we can go over this one. Right, so, right here, SMT. Bullish SMT. Sell side taken. Power of 3, accumulate, manipulate with a bullish SMT. This becomes turtle soup entry model, right? right here. 15-minute candle is our range. Turtle soup. Boom. Beneath the low. Doesn't matter how much, it goes beneath the low. So, what happens? This is the entry model I use, right? Pedro, thank you. He's the one that told me how to enter on turtle soups, and I'll give him credit for it, right? First up close candle. I'm not entering down here, right? I want confirmation. First up close candle. My entry today, boom. Stop loss here. Target all the way up here, but I didn't hold that long. I actually got out right up here. First up close candle after the turtle soup, after the SMT, enter. That's it. That is the entry model I use. That's it. Up close candle, right? Now, I'm not going to give you the 30 second because I want you to start on the 1 minute. If you want to know the 30 second, come into the Discord. First up close candle, enter on this one. Now, what comes after? High probability order block, right? SMT down here. Remember, first up close candle, or the first down close candle that had the SMT order block. Tap into the order block. I know it's ugly. I wouldn't consider that a breaker. What comes after? Fair value gap. High probability fair value gap. What comes after that? High probability breaker with a fair value gap. Unicorn setup. Continuation to the highs. I wonder if that became, yeah. It didn't, it became a 5-minute breaker, but not a 5-minute unicorn. Right there. 1 minute turtle soup, order block, fair value gap, breaker, right there. All the entry models that you need to enter right here in one picture. Now, what I want you to do, I gave you the 4 entry models to use. Start on the unicorn. Then look at the fair value gap. Then go to the order block. And then test the turtle soups. If you want to get good with the turtle soups, I recommend back testing them. Don't just hop into the markets and try to soup everything because it won't work. So that is the entry models that I started with. I started with the unicorn. I went to the fair value gap. I went to the order block, and now I'm doing the turtle soups. Right? Right there. Boom, boom. Go back test. Join the free Discord. I'm out of here. Peace.